kind of small font here. I'll explain what we're looking to do. So the first aspect is cap management. What it starts you off, you select a team. We've already done that. And now you're in the cap management stage, step one of the offseason here at Stick to the Model. All right. So got a multitude of things we can do to free up cap space. You'll notice at the top, actually, it's being covered up right now, which is hilarious. It's perfectly covered up by the Packer fan logo. That's okay, though. 10.7 million is what they're showing we are over the cap, okay? Now, like I said, we're going to kind of draw a comparison, a parallel with the other sites, all right? The other sites here, over the cap has us at about 2 million, 1.5 to 2 million over the cap, so almost flush, right? Spot Track has us at 4.5 million over the cap. Okay, so this is a little bit more than that. I say that because we're going to cut it kind of close. Keep in mind the Packers will probably want to generate or keep about $7 million operating money. 7 to 10 is kind of that sweet spot of space you want as you go into training camp. So you got some maneuverability, if you will, right? So we'll treat it as such. We'll cut it a little bit closer, knowing that, say, with over the cap here, saying we're only 2 million under the cap. Let's say we keep it at 4 million under the cap here with Stick to the Model. We're actually going to be somewhere between 8 to 10 million under the cap. If that makes sense. So let's dive into it. So here's the way I would approach it, and I want to see what everybody says in the chat as well. Tim, I'm going to bounce these ideas off of you. We've got 5 different moves that we could make to free up some cap space that seem very interesting to me, okay? First things first, if it were me, I'm cutting Elgton Jenkins, okay? I'm going to cut him and let him go test free agency. Now, we may sign him back if the market isn't there for him, although we won't be doing that on this particular episode here, okay? Just keep that in mind. Just because we're cutting Elgton Jenkins doesn't mean he shouldn't be on the roster. He should not be on the team, but it's just too much space to free up right now. So if we go over here and we go ahead and hit cut, you'll see we're going to free up $19.5 million with that one cut, okay? So we're going to cut Elgton Jenkins, make him a free agent. Now you'll notice we're 8.8 million under the cap, okay? So we freed up some space there. Next is Aaron Banks, and this one's kind of tricky, Tim, because we want to be able to spend some money in free agency this year. So if we were to just cut him outright this year, then we would have an extra 4 million against towards the cap, if you will. Now, what I would like to see them doing, what I think the Packers would truly do if they do decide to move on, is go post June 1, so you'll have a little more cap space to maneuver with as you get after or behind the June deadline, the June date, if that makes sense. So if you approach it that way, you don't get that 4 million right now. So we're kind of splitting hairs in this regard. But what we're going to do here is we're going to go ahead and cut Aaron Banks as well and free up that $4.2 million. Again, some people may think they want to keep Aaron Banks. That's fine. I understand that standpoint as well. You could restructure and try to free up some money. We'll talk about restructures next. But that's the moves I would make. Now, people are going, hold up, Clayton. We just got younger on the roster by doing this. That's if you don't sign free agents. But also, those are 2 of our best offensive linemen, are they not? I disagree. There's no way anyone's going to convince me that Elgton Jenkins is worth $24.8 million against the cap as it sits right now, Tim. I don't know how you feel, but that's definitely how I see that. I don't like the idea of bringing him back for anything really more than $10 million against the cap, to be honest with you.
I love Big E, but I would agree with that. It's not 3 or 4 years ago anymore, So I'm with you. We'll see. And honestly, we saw how camp went last year. He tried to play a little hardball, and we see how that worked. So, for all we know, he's got one foot out the door as it is. So I'm with you. Time to move on.
Yeah, Chester Marco says, I think Jenkins' fate was decided even before he got hurt. I completely agree. We talked about it as soon as he did the hold in because they didn't want to restructure the contract and give him more, security, more guaranteed money. We talked about like this is probably going to be Elgton's last year with the Packers. Now, again, the injury definitely doesn't help. So I agree with you there, Chester, for sure, man. All right. So with that being said, let's talk about restructures. This is the one that's going to get a lot of pushback. Rashan Gary. Okay. If you were to cut Rashan Gary, you could free up $10.3 million. Okay. Just by cutting him outright. However, if we do a restructure, just a simple restructure here, a standard restructure, we could free up $8.4 million against the cap and keep Rashan Gary. Now, it does not give me the ability on this site, to the best of my knowledge, to be able to do a pay cut restructure. You can do that on over the cap site and this and that. I want to be very clear. The only way I would want to keep Rashan Gary was if we could for him to take a pay cut, we guarantee a little bit more money as well to make it worth his time, lower that cap number way down. This is the closest we're going to get to it here. Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do it with the void year, although we know they wouldn't do that. They're not just going to, tack on a voidable year and let's move the money out, so to speak. They're going to want to get some of that money back from Rashan Gary, if that makes sense, Tim. So I want to be very clear. I would want a pay cut for Rashan Gary, not just a restructure, but we're being forced to kind of do the restructure here. Does that make sense?
It does. And honestly, I mean, with the void year spread over 3 years, adding a void year versus the standard 2 years, I mean, it's 2-year deal, right? Either way, one of them's a dummy year. So got to do what we got to do right now.
And I know there's many people that disagree with me, Tim, and Chester here. Chester says a restructured Gary, in my opinion, is good value. I completely agree. I think we're in the minority, though, fellas. And again, we know how it gets loud sometimes and this and that. I think the majority of Packer fans would say, nope, just get him off the team. I don't want him. I can't do that. Like, there's no way that I could just throw that to the side and not explore the option of keeping him because, again, 12.5% quarterback pressure percentage. He had the highest quarterback pressure percentage on the team of the Stars, obviously, other than our boy Micah Parsons. He also led the edge room in run stops. And again, yes, he had less snaps this year. It does seem like the age and the injuries have kind of caught up with him a bit. But if you can get him back at a discounted rate, I think that helps that room tremendously. And again, we're a little shorthanded at 3-tech. We've talked about in the draft process, it's going to be, really, really hard to find a 3-tech in the draft at any point where we're picking where you go, hey, he might be able to compete with Devontae White and get significant playing time. So Rashan Gary maybe playing a little 3-tech along with LVN is something we could use as well. Or when Gary's on the edge opposite Micah, having LVN play the 3-tech and then moving Devontae White to the 1 or the 2-tech when we're in our nickel set. So I just wanted to point that out, okay? So again, we're going to restructure that. We're going to free up $11.2 million there. So now we're $24.2 million under the cap. We're not done yet. All right, we're going to go Xavier McKinney, contract restructure, just a standard restructure, or we could go with a voidable year. We'll go standard. Let's free up another $1.5 million, okay? And then one more restructure here is Josh Jacobs. Josh Jacobs going to the restructure. We really could get away with not doing the restructure with Xavier McKinney, but we're going to go tack on a voidable year with Josh Jacobs and free up another $6 million this year as well, Tim. So again, quick recap in terms of the restructures. We restructured Rashan Gary's. We restructured Xavier McKinney and Josh Jacobs, okay? And then, of course, we cut Elgton Jenkins. We cut Aaron Banks pre-June 1 to get that money right away. And this is what I'm talking about. You probably have enough room, enough space that you could actually just carry Aaron Banks' cap hit until June. That way you free up more money there post-June 1, but we're not going to go that route, obviously. So with that being said, that's where we're sitting now is we took the cap from being according to stick to the model. And again, everybody's a little bit different here. They were $10 million over the cap, the Packers were. Now we're $31.7 million under the cap, ready to hit free agency. Tim, is there any move that we did there that you maybe disagree with, that you would have liked to, maybe there's someone else you'd like to have seen us maybe restructure a little bit as well?
No, I'm really happy with the plan with Rashan because I'm in that same group like we talked about. I think you agree. I think him restructured, playing another 2 or 3 years here minimum, sets us up in a pretty good spot because he does bring some versatility, and I know he's not a fan favorite, by any means apparently anymore. But this guy right here, still love me some Bane Gary, and he makes your defense better. So keeping him around, and then the two key moves there with X and Josh Jacobs too makes a lot of sense. So. Yeah, we're ready to hit free agency now and with some money in our pocket, right?
Absolutely. And as Jen Wright said, Gary was an inside rusher at Michigan. Really would like to see him play that instead if he takes a deal. Completely agree. Kick him inside.
They're going to have him put on some weight again? They have him cut up and now they're going to have him bulk up again?
I feel like I'm watching 1,000-Pound Sisters or something, bro. I mean, they got that dude going up and down the way.
Yep.
Now, really, when you look at it, when you look to his strengths, what Gary does well, he's a power rusher. Like he will walk tackles right back into the quarterback, right? He's not that dude that's going to get out there on the edge and have a lot of quick wiggle. Although his RAS was through the roof when they drafted him, he's definitely not that same athletic specimen since since the ACL there. But again, Jen Wright, I love the idea there, and then you could play him at a 5 tech occasionally and this and that. Will the Packers do that? Only time will tell. Again, I know there's going to be people that disagree, and those people that disagree, you'll probably be right. I wouldn't be surprised if the Packers just cut him outright. This is just my opinion, how I would approach the roster. Because what I would hate to see happen is you cut Gary outright, or you trade him or whatever for just a potential pick, whatever, not a comp pick, but what do they call it? Condition pick, right? Conditional pick, I should say. If you approach it that way, and then all of a sudden, let's say LVN goes down with an injury, or let's say, insert a name. Someone goes down with an injury, and now all of a sudden it's Micah Parsons just getting double teamed, and you don't have Rashan Gary opposite that. I would much rather have Gary opposite that of a conditional 6th-round pick or a conditional 7th-round pick or what have you. That's sure. Just me personally. So, and here Packer super fan Mike says trade Gary, even a 7th rounder would be acceptable. See, that's where I could not disagree more there personally. But again, I know how Mike feels about him. You guys know how I feel about him. We can all agree to disagree there for sure. iRock says, Clayton, I love you, brother, but I don't want Gary. That right there, other than the love you, brother, I think most fans would agree with that post right there, Tim. That's the vibe I get is maybe we need to do that as a poll question on Twitter, because every time that I'm ready to concede that, man, I think the fan base disagrees with me here, we put a poll up and I go, no, they're right there with us. So maybe we need to do that. That one I do feel like it would go in that direction. But appreciate you, iRock. You're the man. All right, so if you guys are watching this clip back here, we're going to continue on, okay? So look for the next video, and that is going to be where we do the free agency period, okay? But I wanted to break this down into a separate video. That way, those who are watching back, you can let us know in the comments, how do you feel about what we restructured there? How do you feel about us cutting Elgton, Jenkins, Aaron Banks, and then restructuring Rashan Gary, Xavier McKinney, Josh Jacobs? We want to hear from you in the comments. Make sure you hit like, make sure you hit subscribe, and click the bell icon so you know when we go live in the future.